Hello there and welcome. Today I thought we'd talk a little bit about the confidence changes that 1.8 brought out, taking a little bit of a deeper look and seeing what they actually, or rather how they actually affected the game. Now, as has been abundantly clear to me, the driver confidence system rebalance, I said it was a new system. It isn't. I was wrong. Let's just get that ready on the table. It has existed before, but it's been very, very difficult to notice, I'd say, because the degradation has been so little. But that has been upped right now. You can already see it having an effect here on Antonelli's flying lap. You got a little bit of confidence boost there from setting a good time, and then immediately started losing again very, very rapidly. And that is basically a change. They've made it now so the confidence will trend back to its starting point set in practice, which is this. And it'll do that no matter if it's a good or a basically good or bad. So if you end up with a couple of crashes, have your confidence all the way to the bottom, it'll return to the maximum here, and that in itself will be pretty good. So honestly, a good change in that regard. We'll probably see less crashes as a result. You will no longer be stuck in low confidence cell, but as you can imagine, practice is going to be more important. And in this video, we're going to be focusing on, as I mentioned, the changes. We'll have a look at how it affects quality, which is what we'll start with. Then we'll have a look at the race itself, and then we'll see if your race engineer now will have a bigger effect. But basically, practice has become more important, and we can actually showcase one of the changes that is going to affect quality right away. So previously, for quality, you would go ahead and basically do 1-2 runs if you could before sending your driver out on the final run, in order to build confidence. That is not necessarily going to work anymore, and the best example that I can have of this is both of my drivers. Currently, they have very high confidence because they set 1-2 laps. Both of them are basically 1-2, but as we go into the pits here, we are going to get lower on the confidence scale. Now, I can't actually showcase this here because both of them set pole position after each other. But unless you set pole position and get a major confidence boost, you would generally lose all your confidence by the time you start your second flying lap. So basically, the confidence changes has made confidence kind of a moot point in quali, with the exception of the driver that sets pole position. Or in this case, you can have one driver set pole position and then the other one, and they'll both get that big boost. I don't know the best way to describe this, but basically, as I mentioned, if you don't set pole position, the confidence boost you get going over the line is going to be way smaller. And if you use Piastri as an example here, by the time he is going to make it all the way around the track and start his, as I said, second fly here, his confidence will have dropped quite a bit. Remember, he was almost peak before he started this. He's lost about half of that gain. And if he hadn't been on pole, he would have been basically back at the standard settings. So for quali, if you do manage to get a pole time, then it can be very, very viable to send your driver out again immediately. But as you can see here, the confidence isn't going to be a massive boost for setting good times. Because as I mentioned here, we're not reaching peak. We already are very high. So that is going to have a pretty adverse effect. I think I like it that way. Quali is going to be more competitive this way. The player no longer has a huge advantage by building confidence in a way that the AI might not do. And as such, you'll probably have less cases of you out-qualifying the AI, less cases of you out-qualifying the AI and then getting overtaken, falling to abysmal levels of confidence down here at race start. And even if you do now, the confidence is going to regain itself. So honestly, for quali and race, this is probably a really, really good change. But we'll also take a look at it and how it works during the race themselves. And of course, if the race engineers have any huge effects on them. Now, for an example of how confidence behaves during the race, I've now created a bit of an artificial situation here where we have peak confidence and we have overtaken the kind of final car. Hopefully we can pull away from them and get outside of DRS here. That shouldn't actually be a huge concern. I think that will be actually pretty easy. But as you can see, Piastri has created that kind of gap already. He is pushing away from the cars behind. And I'm actually going to keep Antonelli where he is so he doesn't interfere. But basically, you can see that the confidence levels is already starting to go down just within within the same lap that it happened, and it's actually going down quite a bit here. So 1 lap after the overtake, we've already lost peak. Basically 2 laps after the overtake got completed, and within 6 or 7 laps around here, that's the 4th one, 5th, 6th, and now here comes the 7th, or basically, because the overtake happened in the DRS zone around here, it's actually 6 2/3. But you get the idea. The confidence does fall off pretty rapidly, pretty quickly. Within 7 laps at full race pace, Piastri has lost the confidence, even though he is building a huge gap to Verstappen. So I don't know how I feel about this. It is actually amazing, the fact that if you have negative confidence, it will do the exact same thing. It will return to the baseline within 6 or 7 laps. The main problem that I would have with this is basically what that starting point would be for the AI. I can't really test that, but basically if the AI is really, really bad at practice, then I could imagine that point would be a sore point. Again, I think it's a little bit overtuned. I don't think you should lose every advantage that you've had over the course of 7 laps. 7 laps isn't a lot, it isn't a little, but to lose the peak confidence there from going from, in this case, 10th to 1st within the first 7 laps, and then lose all of the confidence we've gained from that, even though you've created an 8-second gap to the car behind, you're a second a lap quicker. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it does degrade a little bit too quickly when you're on the positive side of confidence. I have no problem with it actually getting back up there when you're on the negative side, because basically pull yourself together, get going again. Some drivers, personality-wise, would have trouble with that, let's be honest, but this is a game. They haven't really implemented personality yet, so I'm very happy with the negative side of confidence. I'm a little bit worried about the positive side degrading too quickly, but let's be honest, they probably did that as more of a balancing act because confidence is incredibly powerful as is. And honestly, I would probably consider removing it as kind of a whole and give more temporary boost depending on what the driver does. I don't know. Currently, it's a baseline system. It's going to probably be a little bit hard to improve, but I think this system might be better than the old one in some areas, particularly at recovering from negative confidence, which generally just puts cars on the wall. But it probably still needs a bit of fine tuning, let's be honest. Now, when it comes to testing the race engineer's effects, the easiest way that I can imagine doing this is straight up flipping them around. Now, what I mean by this is that we are going to go in here and we're just going to flip both of them around. We already have a reference from Quali because we're on that exact same save. We're going to do that exact same race. We're going to get the setup sorted, and then we'll see if the starting point is way lower than it was in the other case, and most likely it is going to be, but also I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can expect in terms of negative effects from having a low confidence between your driver and their engineer. So I'm going to get the practice sorted here, and then we'll take a look in quali at the starting point of their confidence. So even with a pair of fresh race engineers in terms of affinity, you can still get some pretty good setups. Nothing close to, of course, very high. Beta Gatinelli is around the same setup as he was on the first one, and gets a +2 to every standstill, +4. Still has a low chance of incident, and also, of course, the fact that we don't reach the very high. We were basically here before. So it does have a pretty significant effect. Also, in particular, I want to talk a little bit about Piastri here. If you get a setup wrong and end up on medium or below, this is going to be more of a problem during your race weekend because the chance of incident. So from high, we get a low chance of incident, but from medium, we get a medium chance of incident, meaning that he's more likely to be involved in something over the course of the weekend. And as such, when you have low affinity race engineers, you probably do need to put a little bit more effort into your setups, your practice, so to speak. But you'll generally be fine. You'll lose a little bit of performance because you are losing a little bit of stats, basically 2 to 3 across the board if you're unlucky in terms of performance boosts. But switching race engineers doesn't seem to be a huge problem if you are okay with that loss. if you're okay with running a little bit of a higher risk sometimes, it shouldn't be a huge concern. But yeah, the driver to confidence challenges, as I said, I'm not happy with how quickly the decay is. Oh, excuse me. How quickly it decays, particularly when you're at peak confidence, when you're at high confidence in the race itself. You can lose all your confidence behind a safety car. It's basically just a hard reset of everything. So I would like it to see that the positive side of confidence gets a little bit less of a decay, and the lower side of confidence either stays as it is or even gets a little bit quicker, getting back to the norm. But yeah, it is kind of a weird thing though, that driver confidence is still just tied to practice, like your starting point for the race. The driver confidence starting point is just tied to practice, and that is where you'll end up. So it makes practice more important in terms of race pace than quali, which sounds silly, but it is how it is. But yeah, there isn't really much else to say here about the change in confidence 1.8. I have been trying to make this video for a while. I think I've chucked it into the garbage bin like 4 times at this point. But yeah, finally got it done. It's not anything amazing, but I just wanted to let my thoughts be known. And probably this means that I do need to make a just quick guide to how you can do practice in basically manual, automatic, and with the help of external tools. But yeah, that was it for this video. Let me know what you think. Do you think the change to confidence are good, bad, perfect? Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy. See you next time. Bye bye.